Welcome to Garden Crossings. I'm Heidi. Today I'm going to take you for a walk through the greenhouse to see what the team is up to. Garden Crossings is a retail garden center located in Zeeland, Michigan, as well as a mail order company that ships across the United States. So this week is a little bit slower week for us here. So I'm not sure what all we're going to come across as we go back and walk to check on the team. But last week was a very busy week. We had a ton of perennials come in, got them all planted and ready. So I think this week there's a few more perennials coming in, maybe a little bit of cleanup going on back there, and also some preparation for weeks to come because we have some busy annual weeks coming up. And lots to do this time of year, even though it's really kind of cold and drab feeling and looking most days here in Michigan. Lots to do. So let's go take a look and see what the team is up to. First stop is in the stickering room, and the machine has been going hot today, lots of action. And you'll notice the pots on this conveyor today are not white, but they are brown. So this year we have transitioned all of our annuals and all of our edibles over to this Eco Plus Grande pot. This is a biodegradable pot, and we're going to do a video specifically on this pot, but I did want to show you that when you're seeing things coming through that aren't white, it's because it's a brand new pot that is environmentally friendly. So the sticker machine is applying stickers to each and every one of these pots right now. And the pots get loaded up into their trays as they're being counted, also making sure that the stickers have all stuck to the pot. So this is a very fast-paced, always moving job. But I think they like it in here because it is a little bit warmer. The heat's turned on. And it looks like it's kind of a mesmerizing type job, I would have to say. Do you like what you're doing, Madison?
I do, yeah.
So not all of the plants will be planted up in those eco pots for this first year. We're starting to transition over, basically starting with annuals. And I know that Proven Winners is potentially looking at going with maybe quart-sized containers in the future. But for now, we're doing our part with starting with the annuals and getting as much products as we can into those eco-friendly pots. Like I said, we'll be doing a video on that with Rod and I, just explaining those pots, how they work, what our experience is, because we did do a trial with them last summer. So we'll just kind of give you some of our feedback on our thoughts on that pot. Making my way through, heading out to the greenhouse. We have another stop here. So this is prepping for the flower pillows. So if you have heard of flower pillows and have purchased them through Proven Winners, we grow them here at Garden Crossings. So I'm going to see once if I can show you basically how they start off. So this is how the flower pillow starts off. It's just basically this fiber, compressed fiber inside of a mesh liner. What we'll do is we'll get these wet and they expand, and then we'll put the plugs into them. But before that happens, which will be probably in another few weeks yet, we're just going to go ahead and get a label on all of these pillows so that way we know what needs to get planted into them, which variety it is. And then when they get set down, we put a colorful plant tag on them as well to help us identify which pillows they are. And then when you get sent the pillows, you'll also get the plant tag that shows you all the varieties in them. So just something that can be done ahead of time. We'll get them boxed up, set them away until we need them. But everything's a job that's important and that needs to get done, and anything you can do ahead of time, because believe me, when we get busy, things get crazy, and anything that's done ahead of time is a bonus. I just came across the shipping cart of plants that are getting planted today. So these are Alstroemeria, and the varieties that we have here, there's such a wide array of color, so it'll be really exciting to watch as these start to bloom. I did a side-by-side comparison in my garden last summer of all of the Inca series of Alstroemeria, and it was gorgeous. So a lot of these are hardy, though, only in zones 8, 9, and 10. So we'll see if they come back for me or not in my garden, but that's something that we'll see once it warms up and things start to flower and plants start to emerge and all that. I guess the plants would really actually start to emerge before they'd flower, right? So excited for spring, excited to see what comes back with my Alstroemeria. All right, so that was just a little stop along the way, many stops along the way today. Now we're gonna head out to the flat filling machine though and see what they've got going on out there. Here's a few things that they have planted. Some pots that have already been filled. So when I did a video on the flat filler the other day, we only showed you Phil, our new flat filler, and how that worked. And I kind of skipped right over Flo because, I don't know, I just did. Like, she's old and I figured that maybe you'd seen it before, but I should never assume that you've seen something. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how Flo works. I don't know if they've got Phil running today. I don't think they do. But Flo is our old flat filling machine. Does a good job, but it's old. She's old and sometimes she doesn't work like she should. So we needed a backup this year. For as many plants as we plant, we needed something that was reliable. So anyways, how Flo works, we're gonna kind of go backwards. So Sylvia's here and she is packing all of the soil into the pots because this particular machine doesn't have the vibrating belt that helps get all that soil packed in there. So that has to all be done by hand. So backwards, so as the pots come out, this brush roller kind of brushes any excess off and it gets dumped down back into the hopper where the soil gets recycled. So they're probably to an end of a variety right now. That's why there's no more trays coming. But this one is very basic. I mean, the only feature really on it is it fills the pots and the brusher brushes any excess off. Let's take a walk over. So they are finished flat filling for the day. But this is what it looks like as you insert the trays in. Not a whole lot of bells and whistles. But as we come over here and look at Phil, our new flat filler, you can see we've got quite the conveyor system. The trays all come down this long line, hit this corner here, and automatically turn. And then they get pushed into the hopper here. We're going to take a walk to the other side to see if I can show you a little better what goes on. And again, there's a video showing this thing running, so you can reference other videos, and there'll be more coming. But basically, the soil will fall into the trays, and then there's little brushes in there. I'm going to see if I can zoom in. So you see those little paddle-looking things that will remove any excess soil. And then there's also a vibrating belt on that end that kind of settles the soil down, packs it in. And then there's blowers that blows any excess soil off the pots so it keeps them all clean. So we'll show you Phil running again because this will be getting a lot of use. But today they just did Flo, the old one, because they didn't have a lot to do. Well, the flat filling team was working very quick today because just as I arrived, they literally filled their last pot for the day. So I didn't have a lot to show you there as far as how that whole system works. So I apologize, but we do have some great video from the last, probably about 2 or 3 videos ago, showing the flat filler and how it worked, both of them together. So reference those if you'd like to see the flat filler like really getting worked hard and in action. So let's continue out back to the greenhouses and see what else is going on. So I wanted to show you this new trike that we got. I'm not sure where Carter is. He's usually the one driving this. But this trike here, what this is going to do is help with us hauling shipping carts around the greenhouse. Typically, we would carry or pull about 2 of them by hand at a time. But with this little tug, they like to call it the tug, this will help pull up to 7 carts at a time. So it's going to help on efficiencies of moving racks around or carts around. Right now they're all empty, and I was told that once they're full, they'll probably only be doing maybe 3 or 4 at a time while they're getting used to it, because we don't want to go too crazy right off the bat. But even so, if we're tugging 3 or 4 carts behind that machine, that's only 1 person doing it opposed to 2 people walking all over the greenhouse, bringing the carts to where they need to go. So we'll be seeing more of that piece of machinery, I'm sure, in videos to come. But I just wanted to show you that since it was sitting out here as we're walking through the greenhouses. Right now we're out in the new area of the greenhouse. So this winter we added on basically 1 more section to finish off this range. We didn't do it last year because we had other plans, but in the end we decided by putting up one more greenhouse in this space would make a lot of sense. So basically the plumbing is pretty much all in. The drip lines are hung. It looks like they are putting up main water. Oh, actually no, this is one more row of drip line that's going to go up. So if you can see that big black tube there, that's got to get tied into place, and then all the drippers will get poked into it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of drippers in the ceiling in this greenhouse. Other things they need to finish, obviously they need to smooth out the floor, put the ground mat in, but this definitely is very close to being ready for plants to get set down in this area. So where we're at right now, we're out in like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. So not a lot out here yet. Most of these areas are either getting cleaned up or have been cleaned up, just waiting for annuals to arrive. We'll go over here and take a look at what these gales are doing. It looks like they are just getting the roses all cleaned up. So they're going through removing any of the dead or dormant leaves that have fallen off. Obviously we can see there's a lot of petals on the ground, cutting off any flowers that remain. So these plants are pretty much dormant now, and they're going to get moved into one of our shrub houses. This was a temporary spot that they were planted in the summer because it's warmer out here, but now they get moved to their more forever home until we're ready to ship them out. So let's take a look. Actually, these are Atlas roses, and one thing I wanted to show you is the flower color. So because it has been so cold in the greenhouse yet protected, the flower color of Atlas is very untrue. But look at that gorgeous color, kind of a reddish orange. There's a few more blooms. So you can tell, I mean, that's got that typical look there of the Atlas, but the color is just nothing like what Atlas is supposed to be. Now this is not something you're going to see in your landscape. This is just kind of a nuance of being in the greenhouse, being in a cold space, that the flower color just is really actually very pretty. But typically these are a corally orange bloom, very fragrant, and just beautiful, beautiful flowers. But sometimes you get some things in the greenhouse that make you wonder, like, how did that happen? So kind of cool though, to be honest. So yeah, so they're just getting them all tidied up, cleaned up, removing any leaves that are on that soil. If there's any weeds or anything, that's all getting removed. Putting just a nice fresh layer of soil on the top if it needs it. That's one thing here, is soil volume is important to us. So if they remove any soil, that soil gets replaced, because we don't want to sell a half-empty pot. That was kind of an exaggeration, but we want to make sure the pots are full of soil when they get to you at your home. So here's kind of a before picture of the plant, and now an after. So look how nice that looks. So these will be ready to ship out sometime beginning of April, end of March. We have a few orders going out then, but it's really exciting this time of year, just seeing everything getting freshened up and ready to go for the season. Take a quick walk here through greenhouses 3, which is actually 2 greenhouses. And then we're going to head into 4. Again, it's 2 greenhouses. The numbering is weird. It's kind of a 2-for-1 when we assign a number. But these spaces have all been sanitized, and they're clean and just ready for the plants when they come in. We go through and use a kind of like a bleach-ish solution to kill off any algae or any weeds or anything that may be in here. So that way it's a nice sterile environment as we're setting the plants down. The importance of that is because we do not like weeds in our plant. We do not want to deal with having to weed plants. So the fresher and the cleaner the area we can start with, the cleaner the plants stay throughout the season. So the last person I found out in the greenhouse is Kelly, and she's also working on some roses. These are in another greenhouse. We're in greenhouse, what are we in, 5 right now? So you can see plants are just kind of all over the place, planted from the summer. So everything is getting moved. You can see this greenhouse is very empty at this point, just this one little block of plants that she's finishing up. A few things on shipping carts that are going to get moved out to the greenhouse where all the shrubs will go. So it's a great time of year where things just get clean and tidied, and it's been working on that all winter, but we're getting down to the end of things. So these are just some of the roses she's working on. The Rise Up Lilac Days, removing all those dormant leaves that have fallen off. If there's any flowers, she's nipping them off. If there's any not algae, but if there's any moss or anything in there, she's scraping that off and then re-putting some soil on anything that she's taken off. So it's just basically, you can see she takes the scissors and kind of scrapes the top off, gets those leaves off pretty easy. The plants were trimmed a while back, so there's probably not a lot of trimming for shaping that needs to get done. But like I said, if there's a flower or something, they're going to cut that off because they want the energy to go into the plant, not into flowers at this time of year. So a few varieties. There's the Rise Up Lilac Days, Reminiscent Pink, and Rise Up Amberness that they will be working on and finishing up today. I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes tour of what's going on today at Garden Crossings. Like I started off with, not a lot going on right now this week. But next week should pick up and be another busy week for us. Thank you for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.